5 years from now, I would be super unhappy with myself and my own KPIs if this is not becoming not only a regional but an international hub for space commercialization, because all the ingredients are here.
Hello SpaceWatchers, I'm Emma, the editor-in-chief of SpaceWatch.Global, and this is a new episode of Space Café Radio, your radio channel dedicated to emerging trends and live conferences in the space sector. Today's episode is part of our coverage of the Connecting the World from the Skies Forum, which was held in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia, between the 8th and the 10th of November 2022. The conference was hosted by ITU, the International Telecommunication Union, and CST, the Communication, Space and Technology Commission of Saudi Arabia. The forum was developed around the theme of connecting the unconnected, aka the challenge to bring internet to those 2.7 billion people who still don't have it. It also included some important indication of where Saudi Arabia wants to place itself within the global space economy, the direction it wants to follow, the vision it would like to develop, and the investment it's intending to pursue. In a sort of sense, was a one-of-a-kind of a conference, both with its messages and its meta-political messages. Enjoy these insights. Hello and welcome to our second radio reportage from Connecting the World from the Skies Forum. Our guest speaker is Frank Salzgeber, the managing director of the Saudi space sector. Frank, thank you for being here with me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
When did you move to Saudi Arabia, and obviously why?
It was just in the summer, a little bit before my family joined me. And they arrived end of August. I have twins, 2 boys, 15 years, and my wife, and they're totally settled here. Why? And a lot of people ask me, Frank, you did it for the compensation. And
of course.
Yeah, and of course, when you change jobs, you look to the numerization, and I think that's obvious. But to be honest, and His Excellency, the Minister Swah said it very nicely, it's not only because people leaving their job, leaving their home, moving a family to a completely new environment. So I think you have to believe in something. And everybody who has worked with me in the past knows that I'm a little bit passionate. Sometimes there's a drawback because you do that with passion, so you can be hurt. And some people do not like that when you're pushing the boundaries. So why I'm here? Because it's a unique chance where in the world you can be part of the team to build up a new ecosystem for space, helping to build up a new space agency, especially without the legacy and the history we have maybe in Europe and in the States or everywhere in the world. So this is really brand new with a speed which is unknown. So this is a chance. Sorry, I could not miss that.
So where do you see the space sector in 5 years from now?
And maybe in 5 years when we sit here together, and first the country will be changed, but maybe we speak about Saudi Arabia a little bit later. I believe that this space is on a special point at the moment. When we're looking to America, we see what SpaceX is doing, and I'm a great fan. I think the Raptor engine, what they do is amazing. I believe we have super cheap cargo going to low Earth orbit, to the moon. Maybe we have the first flights to Mars again on a price which is unseen. And we speak about hundreds of tons and not kilograms anymore. And these prices you can book like air tickets, and either you book it now on the light motors like Lufthansa and you cannot give it back, or you have the exclusive flexible motors where you can give your cargo back. So I think that these market for lunar economy will be really there. It will be bankable, it will be tradable, people will work there. On the other side, when we're looking to the US, I think the private sector has really taken over. When we look into Europe, and this is something, I think it will take Europe 3-4 years going out of the recession. And this will have a big impact, or had an impact to their ecosystem. Because the cake of money was shrinking on the one side, and on the other side, the current big companies still try to get part of the cake. So I think that was not the best way to foster innovation and growth. When we look into China, I think in Asia, I think this will become a much more mature market, including also Asia when we look into India. So I think when we go 20 years ago, there were not so many nations really in space. So space will be a business for everybody, also for small member states in the African Union, which developed maybe a joint space system and joint satellites and put things together. Maybe we see even in the MENA region joining. So I think in 5 years from now, this will be much, much more commercial and normal, and space will be just a commodity like we have it in aviation. When we looking to the region here, before maybe we go to Saudi Arabia, and this is a thing which we have to see, what is the speed of the developing of regions. I think the speed in Europe will go down. America will be still keep a certain speed. We do not know what will be with Russia. I think that is in 5 years from now. I hope we have no war anymore. A peaceful joint collaboration, but maybe space was always the uniting case. So I think my dream is here that in 5 years from now, space is again that you have a special new treaty, how you work in space together, how you trade. Maybe there's a special currency which is trade on the moon, which is fully exchangeable, and this I think you can all do within 5 years. 5 years is a long time when you go with speedy feats and when you run. If you go small and in small steps, then it's tough. But from 5 years from now on, I think space is really commercial. So everybody who's bidding on the commercial space and help to grow that will have big shares in that.
So we're watching a picture where the US is trying to maintain the leadership, and a second contender, China, is pushing the boundaries to become the leader, India following, Europe struggling, let's say. So within this complex geopolitical power picture, where do you see Saudi Arabia? And I will add a second question. Do you think that the space industry, has the power to drive also a sort of cultural and economical evolution within the boundaries of this country?
And this is, of course, my personal opinion when we're looking to that. I think the kingdom has a unique chance, and this is seen by the leadership, by the top leadership of the kingdom. Yesterday, His Excellency Minister Swar and His Excellency Dr. Tamimi spoke about how connecting the 2.7 billion. I've missed that in the couple of years to hear that, and I see that myself because it was part of my own presentations. This is the big thing, how you bring broadband internet to everybody, because that means education, that means going out of poverty. And the connectivity is the base of our digital backbone. So connectivity is the basic. So this is what we have on ground. Without Earth observation, we would not even having a climate change. This coming together with the speed of the kingdom. We are at the moment in the city of Riyadh, 7.5 million, and His Royal Highness said he expects that the city has to be 20 million, by 2030. So just when you say double the amount of people in one city within 8 years, this is a speed which is unknown for most of the countries. This comes on the next point, that the level of digitalization of the government is so high. I'm always joking when I was last time in the National Aeronautic Congress in Paris, to get a bank account and in holding the debit card in the hand, it takes 5 minutes. Emma, you know how long it takes in Italy. Yeah, so this is something which the level of digitalization is far beyond what a normal Western country has at the moment. When this comes with digital technology, which we have in Earth observation, navigation, then you really can release the full power. So you have governmental entities which have the huge demand for more space application, not less. You will have customers here in all areas, governmental, private sector, industry, and combined with the big speed and the ambitious, this is why it will have an impact more than the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It will go beyond the MENA region. So the countries around the peninsula is looking really what is Saudi Arabia is doing, because that's the hub really. And I believe in 5 years from now, I would be super unhappy with myself and my own KPIs if this is not becoming not only a regional but an international hub for space commercialization, because all the ingredients are here, or nearly all. If not, you have to create them. But maybe this will be a question where you ask me later. I see you smiling.
You will never be able to go back to Europe after this, after trying.
Yeah, but I have a hut in the mountains, so of course I want to go skiing. Okay. So this is easier there in the Alps than maybe in the north of the kingdom.
So what is your strategy as managing director to bring Saudi Arabia where they want to go? Which steps are you planning?
Yeah, and managing director only for the space sector. Yeah, so I only say this is so it's limited. You start from scratch. That's a good thing on one side. On the other thing, you have to do everything from the beginning. So, which is the strategy? You go to embrace what is existing in the ecosystem. The National Space Strategy, I think, is a brilliant piece of work because it aligns all the players in the kingdom towards the aim. And last week, there was the announcement of a new structure where you have the Supreme Council on the top, headed by His Royal Highness himself. You have the regulation body, CST, where we are today. And this is an active regulator. It's not a judge. It's a regulator which builds ecosystem and empowers it and give it then to the industry really to maintain it and run it. And below you will have the space agency in the future. So the only way you have to work together, it must be a collaborative approach. And I think this is to offer to the rest of the world. And we have a very international audience here, bright minds across the world. Some countries are missing, bad for them, because this is where I think the market will be at least the next couple of years. So I think international collaboration, which also is embraced by the leadership in our field, partnership, commercial, yeah, you can make money out of that. I think what is the business model? I still believe that out of exploration, you also can do a commercial venture. Why not? And I took always the example, I think it was this year in Luxembourg. When you have a copper mine, you first see how much copper and minerals and resources you have in the mine, and then you make a company, then you do financial or engineering, and then you build the technology what you need. You don't start with the technology. Maybe this is an approach we can learn from the exploration industry, where the kingdom is very strong. So can we think about exploration from a normal commercial business point of view and then sourcing the technology? But what I have seen in the past was first we speak about technology and then we're looking for the business case. Is maybe not so smart to do. So therefore, I would say what we're looking is how we can foster and push the speed of innovation. I think that is the thing, fail quickly. And I think this is the mindset which I've seen every day here now in our discussions. So it's a collaborative mode. It's not that we want to do everything ourselves. However, of course, there must be a fair share of localization. I think the time that people develop that it's just a trade deal, that is maybe 50 years ago was that the case, but not now.
How are you going to push the speed of innovation? Is that there is no limit like the time that it takes to create an engineer?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Moving is right up there with death and divorce in the Stress Olympics. But fear not. Turn that box of woes into a crate of woes with moving tips in the Life Beyond Boxes podcast with Premium Q Moving. Dive into the world of hassle-free moves, learn tips and tricks to save on cash and your sanity. Say goodbye to those moving meltdowns and hello to the smooth sailings, or should we say smooth movings? Tune into Life Beyond Boxes with Premium Q Moving on lifebeyondboxes.com or find us on your favorite podcast platform. And with us, unpack the secrets to a stress-free move.
Yeah, it's true, but this is maybe the only problem is the human capital. One of part of the strategy is what I'm happy to share is that the investment in human capital is vital. And this goes in all areas. We're discussing an awareness program at the moment. We're discussing a human capital program, working with existing industry. And come on, I have not studied aerospace engineering. I'm an industrial engineer. So there are enough bright people in the kingdom, in the neighboring countries, in the world. When we're looking to ESA, the biggest engineering center is the Netherlands, but they're only not coming on board Dutch. So therefore, I think the capabilities we have to attract talent, and the university in Jeddah, KAUXT, has shown that very well. I think when you have the right ingredients, you attract the right talents. And this is the opportunities we give. Look to NEOM, it's a sandbox. They have special legislation. You have a powerful regulator which helps to regulate and enable. OQ is a company which was just moving to Tehran, and it was the regulator made the demonstrator with this startup company. Show me one case where we have that in another country.
Yeah, KAUXT is a very good example of importing talent.
Wow.
Out of curiosity, I'm wondering how Europe will react if Saudi Arabia is starting to import, to drain the best brains that Europe has created in the past 30, 40, 50 years?
Yeah, first I would say why we only look to Europe. I think it's Europe itself overestimated themselves. So they are
not so many brains.
Yeah, no, of course they're brains, but America is doing that since 100 years. I think the kingdom will drain the brains from every smart area, and we work with the people which are keen to work with us. So nobody is forced to work with us, but we would like really to build partnerships. And if this engineer comes from Egypt, from India, from Indonesia, from Australia, America, Italy, Europe, Ukraine, Russian, I think this is the beauty of the country. It's opening up and with a strong leadership. And maybe you have seen yourself to get a e-visa. It takes a couple of minutes. And this is, I think, the chance what you have. And when you're looking, if somebody complains that people leaving the country, we have that seen in other countries within Europe that they complain, increase the offer. Sorry, then your offer is bad. If your offer, don't complain that the offer of a neighboring country is better than yours. It's your fault.
This opening up has been mentioned before. Do you perceive a cultural change within the country?
So I had the privilege to be in the kingdom already in the 80s. My dad was working 12 years and maybe drawing a little bit history. He was also working for the Royal Commission in Jambu. And Jambu is the other end of a very big pipeline. It started on the other coasts. And this pipeline project was so huge. And there were people calculating. And I have not qualified if that is really true. But an engineer who was part of the team has said that the cost of this pipeline project from the west to the east was the same amount that the Apollo, Mercury, and Gemini project together. The country has a history in big projects. So my dad was showing the country and the beauty in the 80s to me when I was 14. I was coming back then in the 2000s, I think 12, 15 time frame, where His Royal Highness Dr. Tuki invited me to KAGST, a big research organization here. And now I have my boys with me, which are 15. So I have the chance to show them a kingdom again. Maybe, I don't know where they went up. Maybe they go studying to KAGST or staying here. I do not know. But history repeats. And Steve Jobs said it so nicely in his Stanford speech, that the dots of your career are connecting only when you look backwards and not when you're looking into the future. So for me, my dots connecting now because I go back to my place of my childhood.
And it did change from the 80s.
Oh, yes, it changed. This is the speed of change. 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 3 years ago. And I think this is something which we should give a lot of credits to the government and the leadership of the country, because changing a country in that speed is tough. I would love to see that in some of the governments in Europe, willingness to change.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, but you have to see, in SSC, 50% of our employees are females. I doubt that ESA has that.
It's a radical change, definitely. So speaking about the challenge and connected to what you just mentioned about the speed problem, when I discuss with a European about the challenges, the first thing they tell me is bureaucracy. Is bureaucracy a problem here, or in general, which are the challenges you perceive?
Why is bureaucracy? Because it's built on paper in Europe. And I tell you, as I said, when we're looking to the bank account, you do everything with the mobile phone. You pay your fine when you do speeding, you get your passport, you issue your visa, you do everything with your mobile phone. It's fully digital. So this allows also to have less bureaucracy because it goes super quick. I think Estonia is doing a great job in Europe, but we should move to a digital government. And then also you don't have people stopping the stuff. So the biggest hurdle I had, and also my colleagues moving here, is getting all the papers, birth certificate, attested in the country. So normally to get my birth certificate for my kids attested, I should have 3 stamps and attestation. And normally they say it will take 3 months. So finally, the embassy was approving a document which only once attested. So this is the bureaucracy which kills us, the speed which slows us down. And I would love to have that all digital. At least you know what you get a yes or you got a no, and then you change it. Now, I think bureaucracy, yes, but it's up to the member states of Europe to change that. I don't see where is the problem. And this is, I think, when we're looking why it's so important to have this new organization, SCT, the Communication Space Technology Commission, which is between the Space Agency and the Supreme Council, because they're looking to the regulation. Yeah, what has to be changed to deregulate and to regulate it and to make it faster and quicker. So it's a commission which looks to see where we can kill bureaucracy and make it better for the customer. So who is the customer? The customer is the people in the street, it's the user, it's the companies. This is the stakeholder and the customer for this organization, not the administrative bodies.
So how about the space point of view? Which are the challenges you foresee to bring Saudi Arabia to?
My humble opinion, and I try to do my best in that respect, it's always a bottleneck will be the human capital. Yeah, because first there is a strong competition with other industry. The good thing is space is pretty cool. So the kingdom has announced recently that there will be a human spaceflight mission. We will fly the first female astronaut to a space station, and I think that's great. This is the reason why I left my own company and joined the European Space Agency, because after Apple and my own company, working with astronauts, come on, that's damn cool. And there's hardly any other user or group of people which are more inspiring. So building the human capital is a big thing, and this is not going overnight. And building the fundament, I would say, of this industry, that's hard work. It's not going overnight. So this is the biggest challenge. And I think this is where also my colleague, Dr. Val, is focusing on, because if you build a new space agency, you have to start with the values, then you look to the structure, and then you build it up, not the other way around.
It's also an interesting difference you just mentioned, maybe different from China. Seems like Saudi Arabia is interested in creating the right impression on the outside world. China seems not so particularly interested. They're still doing what they're doing, whatever the rest of the world think. While Saudi Arabia seems interested in creating a good impression of itself, the face of a country that has changed.
Yeah, I think this is just fair. When I think everybody who's doing great want to be a little bit recognized. That has to do something with respect. I think this is a proud country. It's a great country. It's a huge country. I think it's 8 times the size of the United Kingdom. So it's not small. It has the development was amazing the last years, and I think that's just fair to get a little bit acknowledgement from the other side. But I think that's not the main motivation factor. I think, as my personal opinion, the leadership really wants to empower the region and want to be a player in the world and to contribute. And I think this is overall the spirit. A lot of people which are coming the first time here, they're always impressed by the hospitality. So I think it's really part of the culture. The Saudis are very hospitality, sharing, offering, asking how are you doing, offering coffee, water, tea. So I think this is a culture which is in the genes, which is nice. And this is also the way how they do business. So this is when you win the hearts of people, you can do really great business and great friendships and trust.
So final question to bring back to the first of your points. You decide to move your family, you move yourself is a huge step, an incredible challenge. Is it paying off?
Well, ask me in 5 years from now. But I was thinking about myself, and of course I discussed it with my wife and said, this is the chance. I could stay in the European Space Agency, staying in the comfort zone, get maybe even early retirement, so all nice things. But what is the motivation factor you have? And I said, I'm 53 now. So I still have enough energy, or too much energy, however you want to see it. I said, this is a unique chance. What is my own KPI? And I want to make myself redundant in 5 years. This is when hopefully I try to do it earlier, but building something up is unique, and everybody who has worked maybe with me in the past in the incubation activities, seeing companies like ClearSpace growing, seeing companies like Lilium growing, this makes you also proud that you have contributed, because this is the contribution really to building up an ecosystem. If they write a letter to thank you, that's great. If not, at least you have contributed to that. So this is where your motivation gets rewarded. And for me, at least, this is a great reward. You give something, but if you do it proper, you receive a lot.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Frank, for being here with me. Thank you for your time. And let's talk again 5 years' time, maybe even earlier.
Thank you so much.
If you want to keep the pulse of the space industry, please visit our website at www.SpaceWatch.Global. Subscribe to our newsletters, and of course, don't forget to become a Space Watcher. I'm Emma Gatti, Editor-in-Chief at SpaceWatch.Global, your independent perspective on space. See you next time. Ciao.